Originally projected as a lottery pick, Ja'Kobe Walter falls all the way to the Raptors, who snatch him up at 19th overall. Here's everything you need to know about the newest Raptor and why he might be the biggest steal of the first round. Let's get into it. Ja'Kobe Walter was an absolute sleeper on the first night of the NBA draft, and he falls all the way to 19th overall, where he lands in the extremely grateful hands of the Toronto Raptors. Masai, Ujiri, and Bobby Webster are probably extremely interested in this player and probably could not believe their luck to see him fall all this way in the draft, because Ja'Kobe Walter even said he did not work out a single time with the Raptors. The expectation based on who Ja'Kobe Walter was working with, the fact that he got a green room invite so early, suggested that this was going to be a lottery pick. This was going to be a guy, look, not in the early stages, but definitely somebody in the latter stages of the lottery who likely would have been snatched up by a team like the Miami Heat or the Philadelphia 76ers just on the outskirts of a lottery if he were to fall that far. But as it stands, what a day for the Raptors. They get a fantastic player in this position at 19th overall in Ja'Kobe Walter, and I'm going to explain why in today's video while providing you every piece of information that you're going to need to know about the player. And we're going to do it right here on Amateur Hour Sports, the YouTube channel completely dedicated to Toronto Raptors news coverage and analysis in videos just like this. I also do live streams. I was live for the first round of the NBA draft and will be live for the second round of the NBA draft, as well as for free agency, which begins on June 30th. So keep it locked with the channel by subscribing, and if you enjoyed this video along the way, make sure you do hit that like button. So I was a big fan of Ja'Kobe Walter pre-draft, and he was very high on my list of potential candidates for the Raptors to get in this position. Everything really fell into place for the Raptors who get Ja'Kobe Walter, as he was the best player available for me at the time of the selection here. I had Tristan da Silva ahead of him on my list. He went 18th overall to the Orlando Magic, but what a consolation prize here for Toronto, who gets the 6'5" shooting guard at this position. In my most recent mock draft ahead of the NBA draft, I mocked Ja'Kobe Walter going to the Raptors at 19th overall. I just saw the reality in which teams would pass, in which some guys would go maybe a bit higher than expected, which would lead to Ja'Kobe Walter going a bit lower than expected and ending up with the Raptors, where again, I'm so happy to have him in this position because there's just so much to like here. He brings great size to the guard position, like I said, at 6'5", and just has that wingspan that you know Masai, Ujiri, and Bobby Webster are really going to want to work with, and the rest of the Raptors development team, a 6'10" wingspan as measured at the NBA Combine. Played a season of college basketball with Baylor, where, look, I won't say that he met the expectations set for him when he did declare for Baylor and played his college season, but there was so much untapped potential for the Raptors to begin to work with here for the player, and nonetheless, he still produced some fantastic numbers over the course of that season with Baylor, where he scored 14 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, had a steal per game as well. The efficiency numbers aren't the most flattering for the player, but he did shoot the ball really well from 3 at 36%, which leads still to a decent effective field goal percentage at 52%. That's why I add these effective field goal percentage numbers, because you look at that field goal percentage and say, well, what are we doing here? The effective field goal percentage showcases a guy who can shoot the 3 ball pretty well, and yeah, that's what you do get with the strength of player. He can absolutely shoot the basketball in so many different ways. He can do it on pull-up threes. He can do it on catch-and-shoot threes. But maybe the best thing that he does from a shooting standpoint is shoot those movement threes. That's absolutely something the Raptors are going to want to tap into. Look, Scottie Barnes just got a rookie max extension. They need to surround this guy with shooting. And the fact that they've gotten shooting while not sacrificing size here with Ja'Kobe Walter is a welcome sight to see. Absolutely. What also makes him appealing is not only is he a shooter, he can attack closeouts very well and has a decent playmaking feel in the guard position. Look, he's not a lead playmaker by any means whatsoever. He's firmly a shooting guard and plays like it, but knows how to use his shooting gravity, knows how to attack closeouts, and knows how to be effective in different areas beyond shooting the basketball as well. That's always what you're looking for with a prospect. Yes, they can shoot, but what else they can do? Ja'Kobe Walter certainly has upside in a lot of areas offensively. On the defensive end of the floor, there's a good base to work with. Look, you've got somebody with a 6'10" wingspan. He's got size for the position at 6'5". This is something the Raptors development team is going to relish having the chance to work with and develop to get him to the next level. And I think that this scales down well for a player who's ready to play a role for the Raptors and contribute from day one. He's not going to be a starter out of the gate. I wouldn't think so, but this is definitely a player that has rotation potential from day one. And even if it's not there, look at Grady Dick's trajectory here. Came into the NBA, struggled out the gate, spent some time in the G League, finished the season really well. Success is not linear, but I see a player that I'm hopeful is going to be part of the Raptors rotation from day one. And certainly something that's going to help that is the fact that he's such a hustler. He has great intangibles to go with it. Raptors fans, you are really going to love this guy as a person. And I think you're going to love the player as well. But let's be honest here. There's a guy who I thought would go in the lottery, ended up going 19th overall to the Raptors. What made him fall to this position here? Well, first things first for Ja'Kobe Walter. He's not the most explosive athlete. He's not the best athlete. We've got good size to work with. We've got good wingspan to work with. But as far as turning the corner on drives, as far as ball handling and having those self-creation opportunities, there's going to need to be some work that's put in. That's probably one of the bigger reasons why he's fallen to the Raptors at 19th overall. It's just the self-creation perhaps wasn't there for people in his workouts in the pre-draft process and at the draft combine, but there's certainly upside there again that the Raptors can tap into from a self-creation standpoint. And as I kind of mentioned previously, look, this guy scales down well into a specific role for the Raptors as maybe even a 3-and-D sort of shooting guard. You don't really need that self-creation leap to happen for this guy to be effective, but hey, if it's there, and certainly it was expected to be there going into college, and the Raptors can find it, my goodness, what a player the Raptors can have. I did mention 3-and-D potential. There still is some work that needs to be put in on the defensive end of the floor. He's not the most physical player, doesn't bring great lateral quickness and agility along with defensive speed, and just needs to use his defensive length a little bit better. Like again, that 6'10" wingspan, you'd maybe expect a little bit more as far as steals are concerned and as far as blocks are concerned, but I don't think there's a better organization to try and develop and find that than the Raptors, who just covet this type of player. Like the NBA is always going to need size, length, and shooting. Ja'Kobe Walter brings that. And with that, he brings that defensive upside that I would love the Raptors to try and tap into and get seriously ready for the NBA in his rookie season. Overall, for Ja'Kobe Walter, the type of player that I would compare him to best give you the sense of what type of player the Raptors are signing themselves up for here, he gives me a lot of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope vibes. Every team in the NBA could use a player like KCP, and the Raptors have one here with a great degree of upside to have maybe a leap defensively and have a leap as far as self-creation and maybe even a touch more playmaking to go with it. There is great upside here for the Raptors to take on with a 19th overall pick in a draft that has been lacking in the upside department. There were a lot of great players in the real meat of the draft here. It wasn't top heavy by any means, this draft class, but there were some really good players available in the 15 to 25 range, and Ja'Kobe Walter isn't a player I even thought would be available in that range. He goes all the way to 19th overall. He was second on my list. He was mocked by myself to the Raptors at 19th overall. I am over the moon with this selection here. This is absolutely seemingly a home run sort of play for the Raptors, a home run pick for the Raptors to get him. I would grade this pick absolutely as an A. Like, I am completely ecstatic here with the selection. Toronto didn't really have to do much to make this happen. They just waited it out and got a guy that they thought, once again, was going to be going way higher on in this draft. And the way things are shaping up for the second round of the draft as well, there's an opportunity to find another great player with that 31st overall pick. But Darko Rajakovic, Masai Ujiri, Bobby Webster, Dan Tolson, everybody is going to love working with this guy. I think that off the floor, Raptors fans, you're going to really like Ja'Kobe Walter. And when he starts to bring stuff on the floor as well, it's going to get even better, especially if the Raptors can continue to tap into the upside he displayed going into his season with Baylor, because there is certainly a lot to work with there and a lot to like. So what do you think of this draft pick for Ja'Kobe Walter? Obviously, I'm very happy. Do you share my sentiments? Give me all of your thoughts and opinions of the player in the comments down below, because that's it for me for today. Drop a like if you did enjoy this video. Subscribe for more content just like it. Check out my live streams for the second round of the draft as well as the start of free agency on Sunday. Check out all my videos coming out about the newest players who joined the Raptors, and I'll see you again next time for another piece of content, wherever it may be in the Amateur Hour Production Network.